This information is so important, and we're starting to get some of it coming out, but more must come out.
So I'm going to go back to some of Q's previous posts to bring this all back into the full picture so we can understand what's going on here. But first, as we know, Q says a lot of people are going to be resigning, a lot of people are going to be fired, and this is in private corporations and in government. Today we see the Gannett CEO, Robert J. Dickey. He's retiring in 2019. Now he's 61 years old, and he decided to retire from the company. Now, once again, we know that the news corporations, they are spewing out fake news controlled by the intelligence agencies. And I think what's going to happen.
That's so important to know and understand that that is going on. Uh, Spewing out fake news, and it's controlled a lot by the CIA. So important, so important.
Is once the truth comes out and people are awake and people start to realize what is going on here and that they've been lied to by the mainstream media, there's going to be a lot of changes. And I think a lot of people are retiring, leaving right now, taking their packages and getting out while they can and while they still can receive their retirement packages. Because I think once all this starts to come down, a lot of these people who've been working for a very long time, they might not see anything because they were involved in all of this. We see out in France that it is not getting better for Macron whatsoever. We're seeing students join, ambulance drivers join, police. They are siding with the protesters, and this is the yellow vest now because everyone in France needs to carry this yellow vest in their automobile. They're using the yellow vest to show Macron that they don't agree with his policies with taxes and things like that. Now, France, they're going to be deploying around 8,000 riot police in Paris. They're going to be closing the Eiffel Tower. And it looks like that the yellow vests, they're preparing to protest once again against the Macron government. I mean, this looks like a revolution, and it looks like it's a grassroots revolution. Now, French members of parliament, they are set to launch a no confidence vote against Emmanuel Macron as the president has become plagued by plummeting popularity poll numbers and nationwide unrest. The vote will stem from left-wing opposition parties such as the French Socialist Party, far-left Defiant France, and the Communist Party, who have all agreed to work together on the effort. Now, under Article 49 of the French Constitution, a vote of no confidence is a means for the National Assembly on its own initiative to force the government to resign. Now, Macron, he faced this.
Wow, that's powerful.
Back in July, after a video surfaced of his personal bodyguard beating a May Day protester while wearing a police gear. And back then, in July, Macron dodged the repercussions as the votes were defeated. This time, I don't know if he's going to be able to dodge this. And it looks like his days might be numbered here. The people are unhappy, and I believe this is going to spread across other countries. And I believe the people are going to say, whoa, wait a minute, what is going on here? Because most of the countries are just like France. They have very high unemployment rate. People are barely getting by, and people are done with it. Actually, there are certain individuals on the street of France. They were chanting, "We want Trump." And we know that Trump has been making fun of Macron, and Macron is actually laughing at Trump. But really, look at Macron's situation right now. He is stuck. It's not working out well for him. The people are speaking up. Now, out in London, in the Ecuadorian embassy, we see Julian Assange allegedly is still there. And the president of Ecuador has said that he's made an agreement with the UK. He has it in writing.
What's the UK going to do with Sean?
Pledge not to extradite Julian Assange anywhere he might face the death penalty. Now, it doesn't say anything about being imprisoned. It just says the death penalty. So this is kind of odd right off the bat. And he's been living, allegedly, in the embassy since 2012. And we need to go back to Q, where Q says they have the source. Now, it doesn't mean that Assange is with them. It just means they have control of where he can go and what he can do, and nobody can touch him. So once again, we don't know exactly where he is. People think that he's in the embassy. Maybe he is in the embassy, but he also might be protected by the Patriots. Now, out in Ukraine, we understand that Poroshenko, under the direction of the Western intelligence agencies, they had warships sail into the Kerch Strait, into Russian, body of water, and Russia went ahead and took control of the ships. And those people that were on the ships, they admitted, yes, Poroshenko put them up to this. Now Russia is out there, and they're saying that the Ukrainian government is set for a flare-up of hostilities against rebels in the east, using the newly imposed martial law to cover up its preparations. Russian Foreign Ministry has called on international observers monitoring the situation in Ukraine to step up their efforts to prevent possible provocations. They're also saying, and this is coming from Zakharova, she said that it looks like they're staging a chemical weapons attack, and it may be used as a pretext for intensifying the hostilities. So we're going to have to watch the situation in Ukraine very carefully, because we know the deep state, they're going to go to, to the nth degree to try to get a war started, because they know what's coming. They know the D class and everything that they've been up to is going to be exposed. Now, I want to go back to post 2537, where Q says odds of a state funeral on D5, December 5th. How many coincidences before mathematically impossible gave the number 68, 95, 99.7 rule? Now, this is the 3 standard deviation that statisticians use. And the so-called 68, 95, 99.7 rule is a shorthand used to remember the percentage of values that lie within a band around the mean in a normal distribution, with a width of 1, 2, and 3 standard deviations. So Q is saying that this is completely mathematically impossible. Now, what's very interesting about all of this is that Trump tweeted out something very interesting on December 5th. And when you read it, you just read it and it sinks into your subconscious, and you say, okay, he's recognizing that a president died. This is what it says. Looking forward to being with the Bush family. The next sentence is, this is not a funeral. This is a day of celebration for a great man who has led a long and distinguished life. He will be missed. Now, Trump just doesn't put things out there. And it's very interesting that he put, this is not a funeral. He could have just put, this is a day of celebration for a great man, but he actually took the time to put this there. So the question is, was this a coincidence? Is this a real funeral? Or is it something else? Let's move on to post 2548. This is December 4th. And back on 12/4/2017, Q put up the following. Who knows where the bodies are buried? Flynn is safe. We protect our patriots. Now, under this, we read this yesterday, Flynn was let off with no prison time because he's helping with other investigations. Now, in Annan, clandestine Ross 1 put together what is going on here. Now, let me read this to you. He starts off with, he or she, I don't know exactly. All right, everyone. After taking a step back to look at the General Flynn sentencing memo, I've come to a conclusion, and it is astonishing. Buckle up, and let's begin. Massive revelations into the Mueller special counsel. Flynn was the centerpiece of the media-fabricated Russia collusion narrative. The media conspiracy theorists claimed that Flynn was guilty of treason, was the back channel to Putin that helped Trump steal the election from Hillary. That narrative is now debunked. The deep state and the media took a massive loss on this, yet they are turning around and trying to say this means Flynn flipped on Trump. See collusion. This is completely false. Firstly, if Flynn was a massive player in a Trump-Russia conspiracy to rig an election, there is no chance he would be let off with 0 jail time, no matter what sort of testimony he gave. You're not getting away with treason. Secondly, and most importantly, it says it right in the memo that Flynn gave significant evidence in regards to several ongoing investigations, an unspecified criminal investigation and the investigation concerning Russian government and individuals associated with Trump. Why is this criminal investigation redacted and the Russia probe into Trump is not? This is very significant. Mueller goes on to explain that the testimony Flynn gave was redacted because the investigation in which he has provided assistance are ongoing. Now let's take a moment and think about this for a second. That's an absolute bombshell. Mueller just revealed he is currently assisting in multiple ongoing investigations, one of which we know to be criminal and is most likely being redacted because it could compromise the names of witnesses or defendants. Title I grand jury and the unspecified criminal investigation is separate from the Trump-Russia probe, meaning Flynn, a known white hat and huge adversary of Clinton and Obama, just gave significant testimony to an unspecified ongoing criminal investigation separate from the Trump-Russia probe. Do you all know how massive this is? And just wait, it gets better. If the mystery criminal investigation is ongoing, therefore must be redacted, that would mean that Trump-Russia intel would need to be redacted unless it's no longer an ongoing investigation. Yes, folks, I am insinuating that the Trump-Russia investigation is now over, and Mueller is still operating because he has been tasked with multiple other investigations. If the Trump-Russia investigation was still going, the name of the investigation would be redacted as well. This sentencing memo just proved that Mueller has been locked into both sides. If Flynn was singing and it wasn't about Trump, who was it about? Yesterday, Trump said Mueller is a much different man than people think. Trump has been cryptically signaling to us that Mueller's role is different than the established narrative. Mueller has been going after Trump, but something has changed. Mueller, as we know, is not a white hat. He was a black hat, but now he might be a gray hat. Let's take it back to the origin of the Mueller investigation so we can fully understand how this genius maneuver was planned. May 16th, 2017, 7 days after the firing of the FBI Director James Comey, Trump has an interview with Bob Mueller for the position of FBI Director. However, Bob Mueller had already served more than his maximum term limit as FBI Director. He was legally ineligible to take that FBI Director position. May 17, 2017, Bob Mueller is appointed by Rod Rosenstein, Trump's appointee subordinate to the head of the special counsel. Mueller met with Trump the day before he was appointed to special counsel. What did they really discuss? Was a deal made? Does Trump have leverage over Mueller? Think Uranium One. I believe that Trump sat down with Mueller, gave him an option to work for Trump in exchange for a pardon for his crimes, the Uranium One deal. Help us take out the deep state while simultaneously exonerating Trump of the Russia BS, and we will let you walk. Art of the deal. Remember that special prosecutor Trump told Hillary he was going to hire to look into her situation. I believe Mueller to be that special prosecutor. It's genius. Trump had to prosecute the Clintons, but he had to make sure the left and the media would accept the results of the investigation. How did he do it? Make the media and the deep state legitimize and trust the person who would be doing the prosecution. Trump also had to make it look convincing. So minor players like Papadopoulos got a slap on the wrist for process crimes unrelated to the Trump-Russia conspiracy theory. This is how Trump generated the mainstream media faith in Mueller. Trump also used propaganda and a couple of tweets to make the liberal and conservative media think the Mueller was on a witch hunt against him. The mainstream just got done drooling over Mueller for a year and praising him as the second coming, exactly as planned. Now, when Mueller exonerates Trump and prosecutes the deep state actors, the media can't say Trump weaponized the intel agency to go after Hillary, when they just got done saying Mueller was after Trump for a year and a half. They are beyond screwed, and they don't know it. The mainstream media can try to deny Mueller's conclusions all they like, but they will have no credibility, and they'll have no choice but to comply. The deep state has lost control. The patriots are now in control. Let's move on to post 2557. Q put up a link to The Hill, and it says, "What do you want for Christmas? Q." So this is an article about the FBI email chain may provide most damning evidence of FISA abuses yet. Let me read a portion of this. Just before Thanksgiving, House Republicans amended the list of documents they'd like President Trump to declassify in the Russia investigation. With little fanfare or explanation, the lawmakers, led by House Intelligence Committee Chairman David Nunes, added a string of emails between the FBI and the Department of Justice to their wish list. Sources tell me that the targeted documents may provide the most damning evidence to date of potential abuses of the Foreign Intelligence Service Surveillance Act. Evidence.
This is getting very interesting and very twisted. Sounds very political, and Trump sounds like a perfect individual to play the game.
Members of Congress for more than 2 years. The email exchanges included then FBI Director James Comey, key FBI investigators in the Russian probe, and lawyers in the Department of Justice National Security Division, and they occurred in early to mid-October before the FBI successfully secured FISA warrant to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. The email exchange showed that the FBI was aware before it secured the now infamous warrant that there were intelligent community concerns about the reliability of the main evidence used to support it, the Christopher Steele dossier. The exchanges also indicate the FBI officials were aware that Steele, the former MI6 British intelligence operative, then working as a confidential human source for the Bureau, had contacts with the news media reports before the FISA warrant was secured. The FBI fired Steele on November 1st, 2016, 2 weeks after securing the warrant, on grounds that he had unauthorized contacts with the news media, but the FBI withheld from the American public and Congress until months later that Steele had been paid to find his dirt on Trump by a firm doing political opposition research for the Democratic Party and for Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, and the Steele himself harbored hatred for Trump. If the FBI knew of this media contacts and the concerns about the reliability of this dossier before seeking the warrant, it would constitute a serious breach of FISA regulations that the trust that the FISA court places in the FBI. That's because the FBI has an obligation to certify to the court before it approves FISA warrants that its evidence is verified, and to alert the judges to any flaws in its evidence or information that suggests the target might be innocent. So the article went on to say that sources tell me the email chain provides the most direct evidence that the Bureau and possibly the Department of Justice had reasons to doubt the Steele dossier before the FISA warrants was secured. Sources say the specifics of the email chain remain classified, but its general sentiments about the Steele dossier and the media contacts have been discussed in non-classified settings. So if these documents are released to the American public, it will give a clear picture of how all this came about and how it was completely illegal.
Remember, Q said about a month ago Trump had told the military intelligence to gather this information and get ready to start releasing it. So we're getting to a very critical time here, just before the Congress gets in here, the new Congress gets in here. This is very interesting. And the fact that Guantanamo Bay has been prepared for greater prisoner control and usage.
Information in the emails that explain away all of this. Post 2558 gave a link to Fox News. Under this, it says it's all just a conspiracy. Nothing to see here. Nothing is happening. Russia, 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 Q. And this is about Obama-era FBI leadership team hollowed out after latest retirement. Now, we know that Bill Priestap has retired. Decided after 20 years he was going to take the package. Remember, Comey, gone. McCabe, Strzok, Page, Baker, Rybicki, Corton, Josh Campbell, Josh Turgle, Greg Bauer, Michael Steinbach, John Giacalone, all gone. Q told us they needed to remove all these individuals.
So they've made deals. You can guarantee they've made a deal. Wow. It's all coming down.
They needed to remove certain judges. They needed to remove these people because if these people were still in positions, they couldn't bring anyone up to trial. It would be completely impossible because these are the blockers. They would have blocked everything. Once these individuals are gone, guess what? They don't have to worry about that. This is why it took so long. Post 2559. Q put Russia equals the real conspiracy. To find projection. What happens when they lose control and the truth is exposed? What happens when people no longer believe or listen to the fake news controlled media, controlled Hollywood, controlled blue checkmark Twitter shills, etc., etc.? You have the Great Awakening. Sheep no more. We the people. For God and country we fight. Q. And as we can see, the truth is going to come out. The deep state was outmaneuvered. They have no idea what's going on anymore. They have lost complete control. Obama's people, that whole team is hollowed out. Everyone is replaced. Whitaker is in control. It's all happening. And if you look and you take a step back, you can see.
Wow. These Q reports here are very revealing. He's using those to tell us what's really going on. Wow. What a mastermind Trump has been.
Blue checkmark Twitter shills, etc., etc. You have the Great Awakening. Sheep no more. We the people. For God and country we fight. Q. And as we can see, the truth is going to come out. The deep state was outmaneuvered. They have no idea what's going on anymore. They have lost complete control. Obama's people, that whole team is hollowed out. Everyone is replaced. Whitaker is in control. It's all happening. And if you look and you take a step back, you can see how much has changed. And much more is about to change. The Great Awakening is here. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.
Wow, this is incredible news. A new attorney general is going to come in. He must be being pushed the right way, too. Trump wouldn't have called him in, but all this stuff, this all masterminding with Trump and other people, certain military intelligence and other people. But there's also those that are giving him false information. And we're letting the media do this false narrative, and they are going to get their nuts cut off. Excuse me for the language, but they need to. And I hope it happens soon because they're going to need to with the new Congress come in. And I think a lot of these new Congress people are going to have their heads on the block too. We'll see. Trump is a mastermind, and I think he's got him where he needs him. We'll soon see. It's either that or civil war. I tell you, it's got to come one way or the other. People are fed up with this crap and elite groups pulling us along as puppets. Again, this is Roger Mark for Billy's Content.